The Odyssey, Book 3, by Homer. King Nestor remembers. As the sun sprang up, leaving the brilliant waters in its wake, climbing the bronze sky to shower light on immortal gods and mortal men, across the ploughlands ripe with grain, the ship pulled into Pylos, Neleus's storied citadel, where the people lined the beaches, sacrificing sleek black bulls to Poseidon, god of the sea-blue mane who shakes the earth. They sat in 9 divisions, each 500 strong, each division offering up 9 bulls. And while the people tasted the innards, burned the thigh bones for the god, the craft and crew came heading straight to shore. Striking sail, furling it in the balanced ship, they moored her well, and men swung down on land. Telemachus climbed out at last, Athena far in front, and the bright-eyed goddess urged the prince along. Telemachus, no more shyness. This is not the time. We sailed the seas for this, for news of your father. Where does he lie buried? What fate did he meet? So go right up to Nestor, breaker of horses. We'll make him yield the secrets of his heart. Press him yourself to tell the whole truth. He'll never lie. The man is far too wise. The prince replied, wise in his own way too. How can I greet him, mentor? Even approach the king? I'm hardly adept at subtle conversation. Someone my age might feel shy. What's more, interrogating an older man. Telemachus, the bright-eyed goddess Athena, reassured him. Some of the words you'll find within yourself. The rest, some power, will inspire you to say. You least of all, I know, were born and reared without the gods' goodwill. And Pallas Athena sped away in the lead. As he followed in her footsteps, man and goddess gained the place where the Pylians met and massed. There sat Nestor, among his sons as friends around him decked the banquet, roasted meats, and skewered strips for broiling. As soon as they saw the strangers, all came crowding down, waving them on in welcome, urging them to sit. Nestor's son, Pisistratus, first to reach them, grasped their hands and sat them down at the feast on fleecy throws spread out along the sandbanks, flanking his brother Thrasymedes and his father. He gave them a share of innards, poured some wine in a golden cup, and lifting it warmly toward Athena, daughter of Zeus, whose shield is storm and thunder, greeted the goddess now with an invitation. Say a prayer to Lord Poseidon, stranger. His is the feast you found on your arrival. But once you've made your libation and your prayer, all according to ancient custom, hand this cup of hearty, seasoned wine to your comrade here, so he can pour forth too. He too, I think, should pray to the deathless ones himself. All men need the gods, but the man is younger, just about my age. That's why I give the gold cup first to you. With that, Pisistratus placed in her hand the cup of mellow wine, and Pallas rejoiced at the prince's sense of tact in giving the golden wine cup first to her. At once she prayed intensely to Poseidon. Hear me, sea lord, you who embrace the earth. Don't deny our wishes. Bring our prayers to pass. First, then, to Nestor and all his sons, grant glory. Then to all these Pylians, for their splendid rites, grant a reward that warms their gracious hearts. Last, Poseidon, Grant Telemachus and myself safe passage home. The mission accomplished that sped us here in our rapid black ship. So she prayed, and brought it all to pass. She offered the rich two-handled cup to Telemachus, Odysseus' son, who echoed back her prayer word for word. They roasted the prime cuts, pulled them off the spits, and sharing out the portions fell to the royal feast. Once they'd put aside desire for food and drink, old Nestor, the noble charioteer, began at last. Now's the time, now they've enjoyed their meal, to probe our guests and find out who they are. Strangers, friends, who are you? Where did you sail from, over the running sea lanes? Out on a trading spree, or roving the wave like pirates, sea-wolves raiding at will, who risked their lives to plunder other men? Poised, Telemachus answered, filled with heart, the heart Athena herself inspired, to ask for the news about his father, gone so long, and make his name throughout the mortal world. Nestor, son of Neleus, Achaea's pride and joy. Where are we from, you ask? I will tell you all. We hail from Ithaca, under the heights of Nion. Our mission here is personal, nothing public now. I am on the trail of my father's widespread fame, you see, searching the earth, to catch some news of great-hearted King Odysseus, who they say fought with you to demolish Troy some years ago. About all the rest who fought the Trojans, there we know where each man died his wretched death. But father, even his death, the son of Cronus shrouds it all in mystery. No one can say for certain where he died, whether he went down on land at enemy hands or out on the open sea, in Amphitrite's breakers. That's why I've come to plead before you now. If you can tell me about his cruel death, perhaps you saw him die with your own eyes, or heard the wanderer's end from someone else. More than all other men, that man was born for pain. Don't soften a thing from pity. Respect for me. Tell me clearly all your eyes have witnessed. I beg you. If ever my father, Lord Odysseus, pledged you his word, and made it good in action, once on the fields of Troy, where you Achaeans suffered, remember his story now. Tell me the truth. Nestor, the noble charioteer, replied at length, Ah, dear boy, since you call back such memories, such living hell we endured in distant Troy, we, headstrong fighting forces of Achaea, so many raids from shipboard down the foggy sea, cruising for plunder wherever Achilles led the way, so many battles around King Priam's walls we suffered, so many gone. Our best and bravest fell. There Ajax lies, the great man of war. There lies Achilles too. There Patroclus, skilled as the gods in council. And there my own dear son, both strong and staunch. And Antilochus, lightning on his feet, and every inch a fighter. But so many other things we suffered past that count, what mortal in this wide world could tell it all? Not a few sat and probed his memory 5, 6 years, delving for all the pains our brave Achaeans bore there. Your patience would fray. You'd soon head for home. 9 years we wove a web of disaster for those Trojans, pressing them hard with every tactic known to man. And only after we slaved did Zeus award us victory. And no one there could hope to rival Odysseus, not for sheer cunning. At every twist of strategy he excelled us all. Your father, yes, if you are, in fact, his son. I look at you, and a sense of wonder takes me. Your way with words, it's just like his. I'd swear no youngster could ever speak like you, so apt, so telling. As long as I and great Odysseus soldiered there, never once did we speak out at odds, neither in open muster nor in royal council. Forever one in mind, in judgment, balanced, shrewd. We mapped our army's plans so things might turn out best, but then, once we'd sacked King Priam's craggy city, Zeus contrived in his heart a fatal homeward run for all the Achaeans who were fools, at least. Dishonest, too, so many met a disastrous end. Thanks to the lethal rage of the mighty father's daughter, eyes of fire, Athena set them feuding. Atreus' 2 sons, they summoned all the Achaean ranks to muster rashly, just at sunset, no hour to rally troops. And in they straggled, sodden with wine, our heroes. The brothers harangued them, told them why they'd met. A crisis, Menelaus urging the men to fix their minds on the voyage home across the sea's broad back. But it brought no joy to Agamemnon, not at all. He meant to detain us there and offer victims, anything to appease Athena's dreadful wrath. Poor fool! He never dreamed Athena would not comply. The minds of the everlasting gods don't change so quickly. So the 2 of them stood there, wrangling, back and forth, till the army sprang up, their armor clashing, ungodly uproar. 2 plans split the ranks. That night we barely slept, seething with hard feelings against our own comrades, for Zeus was brooding over us, poised to seal our doom. At dawn, half of us hauled our vessels down to sea. We stowed our plunder, our sashed and lovely women. But half the men held back, camped on the beach, waiting it out for Agamemnon's next commands, while our contingent embarked. We pushed off and sailed at a fast clip as a god smoothed out the huge trowing swells. We reached Tenedos quickly, sacrificed to the gods, the crews keen for home. But a quick return was not in Zeus's plan. Not yet. That cruel power loosed a cursed feud on us once again. Some swung their rolling warships hard about. Odysseus sailed them back, the flexible, wily king, veering over to Agamemnon now to shore his fortunes up. Not I. Massing the ships that came in my flotilla, I sped away as the gods' mischief kept on brewing, dawning on me now. And Tydeus's fighting son, Diomedes, fled too. Rousing all his comrades, late in the day, the red-haired Menelaus joined us, overtook us at Lesbos, debating the long route home, whether to head north, over the top of rocky Chios, skirting Syria, keeping that island off to port, or one south of Chios, by Mimas's gusty cape. We asked the god for a sign. He showed us one. He urged us to cut out on the middle passage, straight to Euboea now, escape a catastrophe, fast as we could sail. A shrilling wind came up, stiff, driving us on, and on we raced over the sea lanes rife with fish. And we made Geristus Point in the dead of night. Many thighs of bulls we offered Poseidon there. Thank God we'd crossed that endless reach of sea. Then, on the 4th day, The crews of Diomedes, breaker of horses, moored their balanced ships at Argus's port. But I held course for Pylos, yes, and never once did the good strong wind go limp from the first day the god unleashed its blast. And so, dear boy, I made it home from Troy in total ignorance, knowing nothing of their fates, the ones who stayed behind. Who escaped with their lives and who went down. But all I've gathered by hearsay, sitting here in my own house, that you'll learn. It's only right. I'll hide nothing now. They say the Myrmidons, those savage spearmen, led by the shining son of lion-hearted Achilles, traveled home unharmed. Philoctetes, the gallant son of Pius, safe as well. Idomeneus brought his whole continent back to Crete. All who escaped the war, the sea snatched none from him, but Atreus' son, Agamemnon, you yourselves, even in far-off Ithaca, must have heard how he returned. How Aegisthus hatched the king's horrendous death. But what a price he paid, in blood, in suffering. Ah, how fine it is when a man is brought down to leave a son behind. Orestes took revenge. He killed that cunning murderess, Aegisthus, who killed his famous father. And you, my friend, how tall and handsome I see you now. Be brave, you too, so men to come will sing your praises down the years. Telemachus, weighing the challenge closely, answered, O Nestor, son of Neleus, Achaea's pride and glory, what a stroke of revenge that was! All Achaeans will spread Orestes' fame across the world, a song for those to come. If only the gods would arm me in such power. I'd take revenge on the lawless brazen suitors, riding roughshod over me, plotting reckless outrage. But for me, the gods have spun out no such joy. For my father or myself, I must bear up, that's all. And the old charioteer replied, Now that you mention it, dear boy, I do recall a mob of suitors, they say, besets your mother, there, in your own house, against your will, and plots your ruin. Tell me, though, do you let yourself be so abused? Or do people round about, stirred up by the prompting of some god, despise you now? Who knows if he will return some day to take revenge on all their violence? Single-handed, perhaps, or with an Argive army at his back. If only the bright-eyed goddess chose to love you, just as she lavished care on brave Odysseus years ago in the land of Troy, where we Achaeans struggled. I've never seen the immortals show so much affection as Pallas openly showed him. Standing by your father, if only she'd favor you, tend you, with all her heart. Many a suitor then would lose all thought of marriage, blotted out forever. Never, your majesty, Telemachus countered gravely. That will never come to pass, I know. What you say dumbfounds me, staggers imagination. Hope as I will, that day will never dawn, not even if the gods should will it so. Telemachus! Pallas Athena broke in sharply, her eyes afire. What's this nonsense slipping through your teeth? It's light work for a willing god to save a mortal even half the world away. Myself, I'd rather sail through years of trouble and labor home and see that blessed day, than hurry home to die at my own hearth like Agamemnon, killed by Aegisthus' cunning by his own wife. But the great leveler, death, not even the gods can defend a man. Not even when they love. That day, when fate takes hold and lays him out at last. Mentor, wise Telemachus said, distraught as we are for him, let's speak of this no more. My father's return? It's inconceivable now. Long ago the undying gods have sealed his death, his black doom. But now there's another question I would put to Nestor. Nestor excels all men for sense and justice, his knowledge of the world. 3 generations he has ruled, they say, and to my young eyes he seems a deathless god. Nestor, son of Neleus, tell me the whole story. How did the great king Agamemnon meet his death? Where was Menelaus? What fatal trap did he set, that treacherous Aegisthus, to bring down a man far stronger than himself? Was Menelaus gone from Archean Argos, roving the world somewhere, so the coward found the nerve to kill the king? And old Nestor, the noble charioteer, replied, Gladly, my boy, I'll tell you the story first to last. Right you are, you guessed what would have happened if red-haired Menelaus arrived back from Troy and had found Aegisthus alive in Agamemnon's palace. No barrow piled high on the earth for his dead body. No. The dogs and birds would have feasted on his corpse, sprawled on the plain outside the city gates, and no one, no woman in all Achaea would have wept a moment. Such a monstrous crime the man contrived. But there we were, camped at Troy, battling out the long, hard campaign, while he at his ease at home, in the depths of Argos, stallion country, he lay siege to the wife of Agamemnon, luring, enticing her with talk. At first, true, she spurned the idea of such an outrage. Clytemnestra, the queen, her will was faithful still. And there was a man, what's more, a bard close by, to whom Agamemnon, setting sail for Troy, gave strict commands to guard his wife. But then, the day the doom of the gods had bound her to surrender, Aegisthus shipped the bard away to a desert island, marooned him there, sweet prize for the birds of prey, and swept her off to his own house, lover lusting for lover. And many thigh bones he burned on the gods' holy altars. Many gifts he hung on the temple walls, gold, brocades, in thanks for a conquest past his maddest hopes. Now, we, you see, were sailing home from Troy in the same squadron, Menelaus and I, comrades in arms from years of war. But as we rounded holy Sunion, Athens' headland, Lord Apollo attacked. Atrides' helmsman, aye, with his gentle shafts he shot the man to death, an iron grip on the tiller, the craft scudding fast. Phrontis, Onotor's son, who excelled all men alive at steering ships when gales bore down in fury. So Menelaus, straining to sail on, was held back till he could bury his mate with fitting rites. But once he got off too, ploughing the wine-dark sea in his ribbed ships, and made a run to Malea's beetling cape, far-seeing Zeus decided to give the man rough sailing, pouring a hurricane down upon him. Shrilling winds, giant, rearing whitecaps, monstrous, mountains high. There, at a stroke, he cut the fleet in half and drove one wing to Crete, where Sidonians made their homes along the Iardanus River. Now, there's a sheer cliff, plunging steep to the surf at the farthest edge of Gorton. Out on the mistbound sea, where the south wind piles breakers, huge ones, left of the headland's horn, towards Phaistos, with only a low reef to block the crushing tides. In they sailed, and barely escaped their death. The ship's crews, that is. The rollers smashed their hulls against the rocks, but as for the other 5 with pitch-black prows, the wind and current swept them on toward Egypt. So Menelaus, amassing a hoard of stores and gold, was off, cruising his ships to foreign ports of call, while Aegisthus hatched his vicious work at home. 7 years he lorded over Mycenae, rich in gold. Once he'd killed Agamemnon, he ground the people down, but the 8th year ushered in his ruin. Prince Orestes, home from Athens, yes, he cut him down, that cunning, murderous Aegisthus, who killed his famous father. Vengeance done, he held a feast for the Argives, to bury his hated mother, craven Aegisthus too, the very day Menelaus arrived, lord of the war cry, freighted with all the wealth his ships could carry. So you, dear boy, take care. Don't row from home too long, too far, leaving your own holdings unprotected. Crowds in your palace so brazen they'll carve up all your wealth, devour it all, and then your journey here will come to nothing. Still, I advise you, urge you, to visit Menelaus. He's back from abroad at last. From people so removed you might abandon hope of ever returning home, once the winds had driven you that far off course into a sea so vast, not even cranes could wing their way in 1 year's flight. So vast it is, so awesome. So, off you go with your ships and shipmates now. Or, if you'd rather go by land, there's team and chariot. My son's at your service too, and they'll escort you to sunny Lacedaemon, home of the red-haired king. Press him yourself to tell you the whole truth. He'll never lie. The man is far too wise. So he closed, as the sun set, and darkness swept across the earth, and the bright-eyed goddess Pallas spoke for all. There was a tale, old soldier, so well told. Come, cut out the victims' tongues and mix the wine, so once we've poured libations out to the Sea Lord and every other god, we'll think of sleep. High time, the light's already sunk in the western shadows. It's wrong to linger long at the gods' feast. We must be on our way. Zeus's daughter, they all hung closely on every word she said. Heralds sprinkled water over their hands for rinsing. The young men brimmed the mixing bowls with wine. They tipped first drops for the god in every cup, then poured full rounds for all. They rose and flung the victims' tongues on the fire, and poured libations out. When they'd poured, and drunk to their heart's content, Athena and Prince Telemachus both started up to head for their ship at once, but Nestor held them there, objecting strongly. Zeus forbid, and the other deathless gods as well, that you resort to your ship and put my house behind like a rank paupers, without a stitch of clothing, no piles of rugs, no blankets in his place for host and guests, to slumber soft in comfort? Why, I've plenty of fine rugs and blankets here. No, by God, the true son of my good friend Odysseus won't bed down on a ship's deck, not while I'm alive, or my sons are left at home to host our guests, whoever comes to our palace, new-found friends. Dear old man, you're right, Athena exclaimed, her eyes brightening now. Telemachus should oblige you. Much the better way. Let him follow you now. Sleep in your halls, but I'll go back to our trim black ship, hearten the crew, and give each man his orders. I'm the only veteran in their ranks. I tell you, all the rest, of an age with brave Telemachus, are younger men who sailed with him as friends. I'll bed down there by the dark hull tonight. At dawn, push off for the proud Cauconians. Those people owe me a debt long overdue, and no mean sum, believe me. But you, seeing my friend is now your guest, speed him on his way with a chariot, and your son, and give him the finest horses that you have, bred for stamina, trained to race the wind." With that, the bright-eyed goddess winged away in an eagle's form and flight. Amazement fell on all the Achaeans there. The old king, astonished by what he'd seen, grasped Telemachus's hand and cried out to the prince, "Dear boy, never fear you'll be a coward or defenseless, not if at your young age the guards would guard you so. Of all who dwell on Olympus, this was none but she, Zeus's daughter, the glorious one, his third-born, who prizes your gallant father among the Argives. Now, O queen, be gracious, give us high renown, myself, my children, my loyal wife and queen. I will make you a sacrifice, a yearling heifer, broad in the brow, unbroken, never yoked by men. I'll offer it up to you. I'll sheathe its horns in gold." And he prayed, and Pallas Athena heard his prayer, and Nestor, the noble chariot driver, led them on, his sons and sons-in-laws, back to his regal palace. Once they reached the storied halls of the aged king, they sat on rows of low and high-backed chairs. As they arrived, the old man mixed them all a bowl, stirring the hearty wine, seasoned 11 years before a servant broached it, loosed its seal. Mulling it in the bowl, old Nestor poured a libation out, praying hard to Pallas Athena, daughter of Zeus, whose shield is storm and thunder. Once they had poured their offerings, drunk their fill, the Pylians went to rest, each in his own house. But the noble chariot driver let Telemachus, King Odysseus' son, sleep at the palace now, on a corded bed, inside the echoing colonnade, with Prince Pisistratus there beside him, the young spearman, already captain of armies, though the last son still unwed within the halls. The king retired to chambers deep in his lofty house, where the queen his wife arranged and shared their bed. When young dawn with her rose-red fingers shone once more, old Nestor, the noble chariot driver, climbed from bed, went out, and took his seat on the polished stones. A bench, glistening white, rubbed with glossy oil, placed for the king before his looming doors. There, Neleus held his session years ago, a match for the gods in council, but his fate had long since forced him down to death. Now royal Nestor in turn, Achaea's watch and ward, sat there, holding the scepter, while his sons, coming out of their chambers, clustered round him, hovering near. Echophron, Stradius, Perseus, and Aretus, Thrasymedes like a god, and sixth, young Lord Pisistratus, came to join their ranks. They escorted Prince Telemachus in to sit beside them. Nestor, noble charioteer, began the celebration. "Quickly, my children, carry out my wishes now, so I may please the god. Athena, first of all. She came to me at Poseidon's flowing feast, Athena in all her glory. Now, someone go to the fields to fetch a heifer. Lead her here at once, a herdsman drive her in. Someone hurry down to Prince Telemachus's black ship, bring up all his crewmen, leave just 2 behind, and another tell our goldsmith, skilled Laerces, to come and sheathe the heifer's horns in gold. The rest stay here together. Tell the maids inside the hall to prepare a sumptuous feast. Bring seats and firewood. Bring pure water, too." They all pitched in to carry out his orders. The heifer came from the fields, the crewman came from the brave Telemachus' ship, and the smith came in with all his gear in hand, the tools of his trade, the anvil, hammer, and well-wrought tongs he used for working gold. And Athena came as well to attend her sacred rites. The old horseman passed the gold to the smith, and twining the foil, he sheathed the heifer's horns, so the goddess's eyes might dazzle, delighted with the gift. Next, Stradius and Echophron led the beast by the horns. Aretus, coming up from the storeroom, brought them lustral water, filling a flower-braided bowl. In his other hand, the barley in a basket. Thrasymedes, staunch in combat, stood ready, whetted axe in his grasp, to cut the heifer down, and Perseus held the basin for the blood. Now Nestor, the old charioteer, began the rite, pouring the lustral water, scattering barley meal. He lifted up his ardent prayers to Pallas Athena, launching the sacrifice, flinging onto the fire the first tufts of hair from the victim's head. Prayers said, the scattering barley strewn, suddenly Nestor's son, impetuous Thrasymedes, strode up close and struck. The axe chopped the neck tendons through, and the blow stunned the heifer's strength. The women shrilled their cry. Nestor's daughters, sons, wives, and his own loyal wife, Eurydice, Clymenius's eldest daughter. Then, hoisting up the victim's head from the trampled earth, they held her fast as the captain of men. Pisistratus slashed her throat. Dark blood gushed forth. Life ebbed from her limbs. They quartered her quickly, cut the thigh bones out, and all according to custom, wrapped them round in fat. A double fold sliced clean and topped with strips of flesh. And the old king burned these over dried split wood, and over the fire poured out glistening wine, while young men at his side held 5-pronged forks. Once they'd burned the bones and tasted the organs, they sliced the rest into pieces, spitted them on skewers, and raising points to the fire, broiled all the meats. During the ritual, lovely Polycaste, youngest daughter of Nestor, Neleus' son, had bathed Telemachus, rinsing him off now, rubbing him down with oil. She drew a shirt and handsome cape around him. Out of his bath he stepped, glowing like a god, strode in, and sat by the old commander, Nestor. They roasted the prime cuts, pulled them off the spits, and sat down to feast, while ready stewards saw to rounds of wine and kept the gold cups flowing. When they'd put aside desire for food and drink, Nestor, the noble chariot driver, issued orders. "Hurry, my boys, bring Telemachus' horses, a good full-maned team. Hitch them to a chariot. He must be off at once." They listened closely, snapped to his commands, and hitched a rapid team to a chariot's yoke in haste. A housekeeper stowed some bread and wine aboard, and meats too, food fit for the sons of kings. Telemachus vaulted onto the splendid chariot. Right beside him, Nestor's son, Pisistratus, captain of armies, boarded, seized the reins, whipped the team to a run, and on the horses flew, holding nothing back, out into the open country, leaving the heights of Pylos fading in their trail, shaking the yoke across their shoulders all day long. The sun sank, and the roads of the world grew dark as they reached Phyra, pulling up to Diodes's halls, the son of Ortilochus, son of the Alpheus River. He gave them a royal welcome. There they slept the night. When young dawn with her rose-red fingers shone once more, they yoked their pair again, mounted the blazoned car, and out through the gates and echoing colonnade they whipped the team to a run, and on they flew, holding nothing back. And the princes reached the wheatlands, straining now for journey's end. So fast those pure-bred stallions raced them on, as the sun sank and the roads of the world grew dark.